Why would anyone build a billion-pound skyscraper and never live in it? Every night, London's skyline glows with life, except for one tower. St George Wharf looms tall over the Thames, but its windows stay dark, its halls eerily silent. No lights, no movement, no residents. So if it's not about living, what is it about? The truth? It's about hiding. Welcome to the sleekest, most expensive ghost story in Britain. They called it the future of luxury living. St George Wharf Tower, rising like a sleek shard of glass over the River Thames, was supposed to redefine London's skyline. 50 floors, 181 metres tall, just a short walk from Vauxhall Station, it promised unmatched views, privacy and elegance. When it officially opened in 2014, it wasn't just a home, it was a status symbol. But today, something feels off. Walk past the tower at night and the silence is deafening. Where you'd expect to see the warm glow of living rooms or the occasional flicker of a television, there's just nothing. Floor after floor, pitch black. No silhouettes moving behind curtains. No signs of life. It's like the building is asleep permanently. And it's not just this one. Across the city, One Hyde Park, one of the most expensive residential buildings in the world, sits just as empty. Locals have taken notice. On TikTok, videos show entire high-rises with barely any lights on. CCTV footage reveals lobbies with no foot traffic. Some neighbours even joke that they've seen more ghosts than people in these towers. So what's going on here? How does a billion-pound skyscraper in the heart of one of the busiest cities on Earth have fewer lights on than a village pub? It raises the question, if these towers weren't really built for people to live in, then what were they built for? And that's where the mystery begins. By day, St George Wharf Tower looks like any luxury high-rise. Shiny, futuristic, almost proud of its presence. But the closer you look, the stranger it gets. The floor plans tell part of the story. Each level hosts only a handful of apartments, and they're massive, some taking up half a floor. Great for exclusivity, terrible for community. There's no bumping into neighbours in the hallway, no morning chats in the lift. It's the kind of setup where you could live there for years and never know who else does. Then there are the amenities. On paper, the tower has it all. A private gym, a spa, even a swimming pool. But residents nearby say those spaces are often quiet, untouched. A gym with no sweaty towels, a pool with no ripples. It's all pristine and weirdly unused. Even more telling is what isn't there. No children's play area, no shared lounges, no benches where neighbours might actually sit and talk. It doesn't feel like a home. It feels like a showroom, polished, perfect, and eerily still. And then there's the concierge setup, a 24/7 front desk, strict keycard access, and private lifts. All of it screams privacy and security, but at the cost of connection. It's smooth and seamless, but cold. Like a luxury hotel you never really check into. But here's the thing, this isn't bad design, it's intentional. These towers aren't built for living, one real estate analyst once said. They're built as safe deposit boxes in the sky, and suddenly it all makes sense. Why build a space that no one uses? Because the people buying them don't want to live in them. They want to own them, to park money in bricks and glass, to hide it in plain sight. So maybe the tower isn't empty by accident. Maybe it was never supposed to be full. So if hardly anyone's living in these gleaming towers, who actually owns them? The short answer? No one you'll ever meet. Dig into the building's records, and things get murky fast. Many of the apartments aren't owned by individuals at all, but by shell companies, anonymous trusts, or corporate names that don't tell you anything. Want to know who owns flat 41A? Good luck. The listed owner might be a holding company registered in the British Virgin Islands, which is owned by a trust in Panama, which is managed by a law firm in Jersey. It's like trying to follow a trail of breadcrumbs through a hedge maze. According to research by Transparency International UK, over £4 billion worth of property in the UK has been bought with suspicious wealth, much of it hidden behind these kinds of offshore structures. And these aren't isolated cases. You see the same country names pop up over and over. Panama, Belize, Seychelles, British Virgin Islands, places where secrecy is a feature, not a flaw. And when owners do have names, they're often people who visit once a year. A Russian billionaire, a Saudi prince, a tech mogul from Silicon Valley, or no one at all. The flat sits untouched, lights off, furniture still in plastic, It's like buying a car and never driving it, except this car costs £15 million and overlooks the Thames. Here's where it gets strange. Why would anyone spend that kind of money on a place they never live in? Because in cities like London, real estate isn't just about having a place to stay. It's about storing wealth safely, quietly, and invisibly. These flats act more like bank vaults than homes. But instead of holding gold, they hold square footage. And the anonymity? That's part of the appeal. You can't hide money in a savings account anymore. Not when global watchdogs are tightening the screws. But a luxury flat, tucked inside layers of corporate ownership, well, that's a fortress. So next time you see a sparkling penthouse with no lights on, maybe ask yourself, who's really behind that window? And why are they hiding? By now, you're probably wondering why pour millions into a flat that just sits in the dark. Simple, because London's skyline isn't just made of steel and glass. It's made of secrets. For the global elite, property in this city is more than real estate. It's a vault, a safe, a legal loophole wrapped in polished granite. Unlike bank accounts, luxury flats don't raise red flags. You don't need to explain where the money came from. You don't need to declare rental income. You just buy, lock the door, and vanish. This is called capital preservation. It's not about homes, it's about hiding. When oligarchs, warlords, or corrupt officials fear their assets will be frozen, seized, or traced, they look for quiet places to stash cash. And London, with its polite discretion and long-standing legal protections, is perfect. No tenants. Great. No paperwork trail. No nosy neighbors. No tax forms. No one is asking questions. You win if prices go up, and if they don't, you've still buried your wealth under 50 floors of silence. It's not just theory. Investigations have already revealed money linked to government ministers, foreign dictators, and shady corporate networks. In 2015, one flat at 1 Hyde Park was found to be owned through 5 layers of offshore firms. Its true owner, unknown. One whistleblower said it best. It's not just money laundering, it's reputation laundering. The UK has tried to respond, introducing unexplained wealth orders, which force owners to justify where their money came from. But so far, only a handful have succeeded. Most of the ghost homes stay untouched. So here's the question. If London's luxury skyline is really a showroom for the world's untouchables, what does that mean for the rest of us? Because behind the mirrored windows and guarded lobbies may lie a global web of quiet corruption, built brick by brick, one empty penthouse at a time. Now let's step out of the marble lobbies and into the streets. Because while ghost towers gleam in the skyline, real people are being pushed out below. London is in a housing crisis. Tens of thousands are homeless, sleeping in hostels, cars, or worse, on the pavement. Families bounce from temporary flats to emergency shelters, and all the while, entire luxury towers stand dark and untouched. In 2023, nearly 1 in 7 homes in some of these buildings were completely empty. Not rented, not lived in, just sitting. Take Maria, for example. She worked as a cleaner in Kensington for over 20 years, but when her building got bought out by a private developer, her rent tripled. She was forced to leave the neighborhood she'd called home since the 90s. Her daughter now travels 2 hours each way just to get to school. Or the Ahmeds, a family of 5 living in a 1-bedroom flat in East London. Every time they apply for affordable housing, they're told the waiting list is too long, years too long. Meanwhile, a penthouse nearby with heated marble floors and a private cinema hasn't had a visitor in months. Local councils say they can't afford to build more homes, but billion-pound towers rise overnight. Homes built not to be lived in, but to store wealth. These ghost buildings don't just waste space, they warp the entire market. Prices shoot up, rents skyrocket, communities vanish. So here's the real question. What's a city for, if not the people who live, work, and grow in it? Because when homes become bank accounts and streets become investment portfolios, the heart of the city starts to fade. So, what happens now? The UK has tried to respond. There's now a beneficial ownership register meant to reveal who really owns properties. And unexplained wealth orders have been introduced to investigate suspicious purchases. There are transparency campaigns, rule changes, and promises of reform. But here's the truth. Most of the loopholes still exist, and the ghost towers, they're still growing. Experts warn that as long as cities like London continue to welcome global capital without asking too many questions, this isn't going away. In fact, it's spreading. New York, Vancouver, Dubai. The skyline may change, but the game stays the same. Some architects and economists even predict a darker future. Entire towers built as dark assets, never meant for anyone to live in. Just shell buildings for shell companies. Places where the lights never turn on because they were never meant to. And that's the chilling part, because a skyline is supposed to tell a story, a city's identity, its rhythm, its life. But now London skyline has started whispering something else, that what's missing might be louder than what's there. So the final question is this: who really owns our cities? And when the last lights go out in towers built for no one, who's left to turn them back on? What part of this story hit you the hardest? The luxury skyscrapers sitting empty, the families pushed out of their homes, or the chilling thought that these towers were never meant to be lived in? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear what you think. Next up, we're heading to Paris to uncover a ghost metro station that still whispers through the airwaves. Don't miss it.